Welcome to Thrive Vision with your host, Dr. Stephanie Ballman.
Hey guys, it is Dr. B here, and I am back here on Thrive Vision, and we are going to be doing more eco-files and talking about something really cool. So I think everybody has heard the old adage of an apple a day keeps a doctor away. But did you know that it's going to take 5 apples now to equate the same amount of nutritional information that the body needs as an apple in 1950. So if you want to have an apple, it's not the same apple as 1950, right? Our food has changed. Our nutritional profile has not. So we still need the same amount of nutrition. We need the same amount of minerals. We need the same amount of all these little things that our body needs for it to be functioning well. We still need all those things, right? What has changed is our food. And so what do you do about it? Why is this happening? And we're going to go into that. So the nutrient profile of all of our fruits and vegetables has declined. And that can be anywhere from 10% to 90%, which is huge. And for those of y'all that are not on program with me, I know that your body is also going to have anywhere from a 10 to 90% decrease in its overall function because the nutrients aren't there in the proper amounts to be able to help the body do what it needs to do at a cellular level. And so this is going to be another thing that can help create the disease process. And in case y'all haven't noticed, sorry to spoiler alert here, but in case you haven't noticed, the amount of diseases is climbing and climbing and climbing. And what is happening, obviously, the quality of our food is declining. And so we kind of have this seesaw effect, right? As nutrients decline, food declines, then disease and the disease process skyrockets. And that's because the body needs those nutrients in order to do what it needs to do down at a cellular level. Part of the reason that we are seeing more nutritional deficiency in both people and animals is because our soil is not the same. We have an increased amount of pesticides and chemicals that are sprayed on to our food. We also have bees are being impacted, right? And bees are a huge component to the health of our agriculture, which then creates the health of our bodies. We also have, we've had lifestyle changes. We aren't out in the sun like we used to be, right? Our bodies are actually made to be out in the sun and to be able to handle the sun. And when we don't have enough of what we need, our rate of conversion of the sun begins to change. And that can be a huge issue because we have to have the sun to convert vitamin D. Vitamin D is a nutrient. If you're not out in the sun, if you're slathering yourself with sunscreen, then you're increasing your risk of chemical toxicity, which increases your cancer risk. And then we also have a decreased conversion of vitamin D, which is also going to play a part in a lot of different disease processes in the body, including cancer, right? So I think an important thing to do, and we can make this a whole other podcast, is you guys need to be out in the sun. And your eyes need to be seeing the sun. And we'll make this a whole different podcast because that, I think, is something really important that we do need to talk about so that people are aware and that they know. I think another reason that there is a lack of nutrients or the proper amount of nutrients in food and also in our body is that there's a lack of awareness. There's a lack of awareness in what the body needs. So that's a lack of education. And then there's also a lack of awareness of why things are depleting. There's probably some other things too that I'm not thinking of. But I think the more aware we can become about what we are putting on our bodies, in our bodies, and what we are exposing ourselves to, not just physically, but emotionally and spiritually as well, that is going to have a huge impact on the state of your health. And is your body in a dis-ease state, meaning it is moving away from health, or is it in a more of a state of ease where the body is healthier and is functioning better? And so this lack of nutrients is going to impact really everyone, because with that 10 to 90% declination of nutrients in fruits and vegetables, that means that your cows aren't getting what they need. For those people who are carnivore, the cows aren't getting what they need. So then the cow's deficient, which then means you're deficient, right? So it's really important that we address all of these things and that we are knowing the sources of our food, what's being put on them, and that we are also aware of what to do. So what can you do? One thing is to call my office so that we can get you started on a program. And with that program, we're going to take a look at what are some of the things that are causing the stress. We know it's nutrient deficiency, but inside of that nutrient deficiency, not only is the food deficient, we know that, right? But there's also other toxins that come into play in the body. So you may have too many chemicals, too many metals, there may be parasites at play, mold, Lyme, right? There's so many different things that we test for because we don't want to guess. Everybody is an individual. Everybody's physiology is going to respond differently because you are uniquely and wonderfully and fearfully made. And so we need to be looking at everyone as an individual and what they need individually to be able to express. We need to be looking at individuals on a personal level, at a cellular level of what they need so that they can express the best form of health for their body. So we know that some of the real problem comes not only from the food being deficient, which then is creating part of the deficiency in you, but that there are other factors that can cause nutrient deficiency in someone. And just to kind of recap, that can be mold, it can be Lyme, it can be prescription medications, because prescription medications, you have to heal twice from the medication, right? We have to heal from the medication, and then we have to heal the body, right? So that's a kind of a double whammy there. We also have heavy metals, chemicals, right? There's all kinds of environmental factors and toxins that we are exposed to every single day that are going to have an impact on our health, and they are going to decrease the nutrients and just decrease the full expression of health that God created for us, which is going to decrease your quality of life. And I don't see this just in humans, but as a pet health coach, I see this in pets as well. They are also subject to having nutrient deficiencies, not only from foods, and from foods, that's kind of an air quote. A lot of people are they're feeding their dogs kibble or their cats kibble, right? Their pet. They're feeding their pet kibble, and there's a whole lot of toxicity that comes with the kibble. Usually it's animal byproduct. It's a whole lot of synthetic vitamins, which is not good for dogs, cats, whatever animal, and humans, right? And so we'll kind of circle back to that. They're also very dry, right? And so animals are going to need lots and lots of water that they're not getting from their food, that they should be getting some of that water from their food. What's the difference between a kibble and the cereal that the kids are getting, right? There's really not a whole lot of difference. The major differences are where some of the ingredients are placed in the list. Kibble food often also has food dyes. If you haven't watched our podcast on food dyes, you need to do that, because food dyes are going to cause animal behavioral issues as well, potentially. So that is something else. But our dogs and our cats and all of our sweet little bunny rabbits and all of our sweet animals, they're also subject to environmental toxins, right? To heavy metals, to chemicals, all kinds of things. And something I always like to remind my pet parents of when we're doing the coaching is that animals are out in the environment sometimes more often than humans, right? They have their noses, especially dogs, right? They have their noses down in the environment. Horses do as well because they're grazing. Dogs are very nose forward, and so they're sniffing everything. And so they are really subject to some of these environmental toxins Whereas humans, we've got shoes on our feet, right? Think about your baby, right? Your baby crawling around on the floor, crawling around outside. They're going to be more susceptible to some of these toxins because they don't have the protection that we as adults have. So there's going to be nutrient deficiencies in animals as well, which is going to impact their quality of life and also their longevity of life. And I know that everybody wants to give their pets the best quality of life that they can. And so if your pet is not on program with me, you need to give us a call. Give me a call so that we can start a pet health coaching program for your animal and start improving their quality of life as well. So circling back to what can you do, right? One, be on program with me, whether it's you, whether it's your animal, both, right? Let's get your health in a place. Let's test. Let's don't guess. And something else you can do is be mindful of where your food's coming from. What was the process of the food? Is it heavily sprayed? Is it heavily sprayed with other toxins? Was it radiated? You know, there's all kinds of things to think through. Are you eating lots of boxed foods or foods high in inflammatory seed oils, right? We need to be eating as close to what God intended us to eat. And it's not boxed cereals. It's not, protein tubs, that's whey and all this kind of stuff. That's highly processed. It's really inflammatory for the body, and it's not providing your body what it actually needs to function. Something else that we can do is we need to be on supplementation, but we need to make sure that those supplements, whether it be for ourselves or for our animals, are the right supplements. So just because it's sold somewhere doesn't mean it's good for you, because some of these things can be just as detrimental as the food that you're eating. So be very cautious. Be on program with someone who knows what they are doing, because that is highly vital to your health and to the longevity of yourself and your animals. All right, guys. So thank you so much. If you have questions, please give us a call right here. So this is our human number at top, 325-703-6506. And for animal or pet health coaching, the number is 325-267-2625. Certainly would love to help you. So thanks for joining us on another podcast of Thrive Vision. We are so glad that you were here, and we'll be seeing you soon. Make sure you follow us for more information. We would love to grow our followers and help as many people and animals as possible regain your health. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you on the next podcast.